again, thank you very much. Welcome and thanks a lot for joining us tonight. This is an event that I have titled UX Research, Results of a Usability Test with the Mobile App Lo-Fi Prototype. I was responsible of the entire UX analysis, and this study was part of a course organized by Google called the Google UX Design Professional. And also, I profited from the learnings I had from the Interaction Design Foundation's course on usability testing. So feel free to review the content of these courses and register if you're interested. I really highly recommend them. I'm also presenting on behalf of my own consulting services in Zurich. So with that in mind, I would like to move on directly to the About Me section. So I have more than 8 years of project management experience across the research and nonprofit sectors. And I currently work as a freelance UX designer and consultant. So besides that, I am a Miro user lead in Zurich and a member experience lead at PWN Global, providing support in the area of UX design, customer UX, in the area of UX, CX, service design, and workshop facilitation. I have a PhD in social sciences, and I specialize in stakeholder risk perception and communication. And I'm currently transitioning to the area of UX, UI design, and taking part in various courses, including the Google UX Design and the Interaction Design Foundation. And I'm also pursuing an MBA in human-computer interaction, UX strategy, and innovation project management. All right, so as I mentioned before, I'm currently working as a freelance UX designer and consultant, and I'm providing services in the area of design thinking and design sprint, also project management training and support for those interested in taking the PMP exam certification, which is a very valuable skill for all those, including in the UX design area, interested in having professional skills in project management. In addition to that, I'm also providing services in coaching for career development and career reinvention. So if you're interested in any of these services and you want to learn more about them, please go ahead to my website, johannipestalozzi-pmc.com. All right. So let's move on to the table of contents. So today I will present you 4 parts of my study. First, the details, the background information of the study. Then I will show you the themes and the design updates that I created based on the insights derived from the data. And the third part is about recommendations for future research. And the last part is the next steps. So let's go straight to the study details. So some information about the project background. This app was designed to help busy professionals with dietary requirements and sustainability awareness. So for many of these users, finding this information and filtering their menus based on this criteria is rather difficult currently. And many of them are commonly concerned about the environmental impact of their lifestyles. So this app, which I have called so far my EnviroHealth Food app, will help address these users' needs while creating a delightful experience. So the research questions that I addressed in the study were 6 as follows. First, I wanted to know how easy is it for users to complete their orders and fulfill their needs. Then how long it takes them to complete an order. How do users experience the features and the structure of the app? Then what elements may have been missing in the first design version? Then what pain points arise while they're trying to complete their orders? And lastly, what can be learned from the steps that they are taking to order with this app? So some more information about the this study. The sample group was composed of 5 participants that included 3 males and 2 females. Here, there are some pictures of the personas that I created. And these users had ages between 25 and 55, who are busy professionals working in full or part-time in upskilling and reskilling processes. So these users order food for home delivery or for pickup at least 3 to 4 times per month. And particularly they are the environmental or sustainability impact of their lifestyles is somewhat important. And the nutritional value of the meals that they consume is important to very important. So nutritional value, I mean here calories and the ingredients of the meals. Okay, so the methodology that I followed for this usability testing includes a research plan, And in there, I elaborated on the goals of the study, the questions, the KPIs, the methodology, the selection criteria of the participants, and a script for the study. Then I followed up on recruitment, online recruitment, on social media, social platforms, especially LinkedIn, using a screening survey, Microsoft Form. Then the study format was a moderated usability test, and the sessions took between 35 to 45 minutes. I conducted the study remotely while I was settled in Switzerland. And the users were asked to order food on a lo-fi prototype, given 13 prompts following a think aloud or cognitive walkthrough technique. In addition to that, the users were asked to complete the system usability scale that helped to support the findings of the study. All right, so some more details about the methodology I followed for the data analysis and design decisions is this. So I will try to use the pointer. Maybe it's easier this way. So I started transferring the observations from the spreadsheet I had while I was conducting the study, while observing the participants, and I transferred these observations into sticky notes in Miro. So you can, I'm just putting this as reference, is the one I use, but of course there are many whiteboards available online. Then I grouped this data into topic or categories, and I created a so-called affinity diagram. Then I reported the patterns based on topics frequency, so how many participants said what. And from that, I derived themes and expanded them into insights. Once I had these insights, I prioritized them based on urgency, on business and accessibility aspects. And finally, I then created paper wireframes and reviewed competitors to get some inspiration what's in the market, and also to make sure that the design in some way can distinguish itself from what there is already in the market. I then updated the digital wireframes and created prototypes, or created an updated prototype. Okay, so here I'm showing you an example of the affinity diagram that I created. As you can see, this is ordered in categories, subcategories, and each of the sticky notes color represents a participant. So I represented them both in colors and using a letter, as you can see here, A, B, E, etc. So the circles around means that this refers to a single theme. So all the other sticky notes that did not match this were just put aside. So as I mentioned before, you can access the affinity diagram in Miro. I shared the link in the chat, so go ahead and have a look if you're interested. Okay, so the prototype tested is this one. It's also available, the link is available in the chat. You can have a look and also make some comparisons when I'm showing you the updated design. Okay, so let's move on now to the themes. So after I evaluated the data, I went from the patterns, the themes, and the insights. I found that these 4 topics were very predominant in the data. So one is reception, the number 2 was user flow, number 3 features, and number 4 symbols. So I organized the following information that I will present you into these 4 topics. And regarding the prioritization of the insights, as I mentioned before, in the topic of urgency, I followed these 3 boxes criteria. P1 means priority, P0 means priority 0, which means must be fixed. So this is an aspect that is preventing the user flow or preventing the user from completing the main task they're meant to do with the app. P1 means implement if time allows. So this is a feature that may improve the user's overall experience, but it's not that relevant that may be compromising the main feature of the app. And P2, this is a criteria or a feature that may be implemented in another research testing or in another sprint of the project. Okay, so let's start with the reception of the app. So the theme here was that people find the app useful and easy to use. So I found that 5 out of 5 participants think that this app is useful, and 4 out of 5 participants agree that the app is easy to use. So here there are some quotes from participants. For example, participant E said, "I find the app quite useful if it's from my favorite restaurant." I think the app is useful to use, and I found the app really cool, and it was very easy to find meals. So the part one, which is usefulness of the app, is checked. So this is done. In the following results that I will show you, I may not be able to read all the quotes because of time constraints, but feel free to just look at them if you're interested, just as a supporting evidence of the data that I found in the study. Okay, let's move on to the user flow. So a theme in this topic is that people want clearer hints to choose meals. So as you can see here, this is the home screen of the app. And 5 out of 5 participants were confused about how to select a meal when starting the ordering process. So as you can see here, some of them were actually wondering, what should I do? Where should I click? What should I select? So actually the task here was go and select a meal. And yeah, as you can see, 5 out of 5 were not very sure where they had to click. So based on this, yeah, I understood that people want clearer hints to choose meals. And this is how I came to this transition or this new design. So I tried to put the meals into sections, for example, pizzas, burgers, snacks, etc. So, and this element here should inform the user that they can scroll vertically in the app. All right. So the next theme is that people want a clear and intuitive way to use the filter and search buttons. So 3 out of 5 participants used the search function to find a meal, and 3 out of 5 also ignored the apply selection button when using the filter. So essentially, some of them were confused which of these buttons they should use. And then once they were, for example, they selected the filter, many of them forgot, or 3 out of 5 forgot to click apply selection. So it was very interesting to see that many of them decided to click the X and not the apply selection. So based on that, I then decided to merge these two elements into this single one that includes both functions. And in the next slide, in the following slide, I will show you how the filter section looks like that may facilitate users to understand that they need to press the button. All right. So the next theme is that people want cues to find meals matching their dietary requirements. So 3 out of 5 participants were either confused about how to select a meal based on dietary, or click the wrong button when looking for that feature. So essentially, the dietary aspect of the app were under the section filter menu. And as you can see here, this is listing aspects that are relevant for these personas. So for example, the nutritional value of the food, the dietary, and the allergenics that may be available in the food. However, the problem was that many users were not very sure if this filter menu would lead them here. So based on that, I then decided that it would be relevant to let users know what features there are in the app. And this is how I came to this idea of creating these 3 boxes so that they know, okay, this is, I can filter the menu based on dietary and allergens, and that they can learn more by clicking there. So as I told you, the filter section, the filter screen, I was also updated. Instead of placing the button here at the top, I separated it from the main section and put another color to increase the visibility of the button. So this would be an element to test in a future usability testing. Okay, so another theme was that people want easy to understand and evident buttons placed near their thumbs. So 3 out of 5 participants prefer a bigger add to basket button placed at the bottom of the screen. And 3 out of 5 participants prefer an explicit button to proceed or go to checkout and not review order as it is indicated here. So the add to cart button was placed here on the rather medium part of the app and was of this size. As you can see, it's also relatively small. And once they clicked in here or they pressed this button, they received this message that included add more items or review order. So some of them were not really sure, what review order may mean in this context and or what of these two options they may choose. So based on that, I then move on to this new design of the screen. I kind of decluttered the screen and removed some information that apparently was not necessary for the users. There is another theme regarding the icons, which led me to decide on removing them because it was not helping the user. And essentially, I just stick to one button on this screen that can be easy for the user to understand this is the action that is asked from them, and that they can, that is kind of intuitive and near their thumbs to place the order. So now in the once they click add to cart to back in this case, they receive these two buttons, which includes checkout or menu. So this is I try to make it to put the actions rather short, simple, and that can facilitate the user understand what is next. All right, so the next topic is about the checkout process. So people need more information about the CO2 offsetting feature and better cues for the steps required to complete the checkout. So 3 out of 5 participants didn't use the CO2 offsetting feature, although the persona and the target users care about the sustainability aspects. And this was actually, let's say, a question that was asked in the filtering survey, if they care about lifestyle into their environmental and sustainability impact of their lifestyles. And those that were invited for this usability testing shows that they care a lot, or that they care that is relevant in their life. However, this feature was not very used. So of course, there's an aspect of cognitive dissonance that may have played here, but I try to understand this in a way that people may need more information of what this means. Maybe CO2 offsetting program sounded a bit technical, and maybe not really related to a checkout process when you're ordering food. So this is an aspect that I took into account. Then 3 out of 5 participants successfully completed the checkout process. So checkout, this is an essential part, of course, of an ordering app. So this is a crucial aspect for improving the design. And based on this, I then transitioned into this new design. First of all, I included the progress bar that can show users that they need to complete each one of these 4 steps in order to complete the checkout. Then this part is about the UX writing aspect or strategy and even marketing. So I try to come a bit closer to the interests and needs, motivations of the users, saying your food, your sustainable planet. So, and then some learn more aspect here that they can inform themselves a bit more. And in addition to that, as you saw before, I added a button at the home screen indicating what the sustainability aspect of this app is about. So with this, I hope that people get more understanding of this, and then this would be a feature to also test in the future. Okay, so let's move on to the part 3 features. Quick orders. So people need more clarity about placing orders quickly. So although many participants show that ordering quickly is an important feature for them, 3 out of 5 participants were confused and insecure between using the button Add to Cart, which is here, and one-click order, and indicated that they were too close to each other. This was in the meal screen that they were just placed on one another, next to one another. And then 3 out of 5 participants use favorites to place orders quickly. So with this information, I then understood that, okay, maybe people are a bit confused if they have these 2 methods to order food. And many of them actually were not sure if by clicking one click, it would click the entire thing that they had on the back, or if it would order only this meal. So it was a bit confusing for people. So, and also with the information that they were directly going to the favorite section to order quickly, I tried to combine these 2 things. So in addition to that, I noted the time that users needed to complete their orders, and using the typical user flow, they needed around 4 minutes and 49 seconds, while using the favorites plus the one-click order, they only needed 53 seconds. So they saved 3 minutes and 56 seconds, which is quite significant. You can do a lot in this time after you have a long working day and you're tired and hungry. So this seems to be a relevant feature. So with this in mind, what I did is essentially, this screen does not exist anymore. I tried to, as I said before, include the different types of meals in the home screen. So once users scroll vertically, they will see pizzas, burgers, etc. And they can go directly to the meal screen by clicking on any of these buttons. And also, as you can see here at the bottom, the footer is different. The favorites now includes the word favorites. It's just for simplicity and to facilitate the understanding for the users. And once they are in the favorites section, the favorites screen, this is an area that I renamed, which I included favorites and past orders. So in the way that some users were saying, well, I like reordering something I have already ordered, or I'm habitual, so I would most probably order something I have ordered already. So this is why, yeah, this section of favorites includes past orders. And the one-click order is now placed only on the favorites section. So in this way, I tried to reduce the complexity and the confusion of the users based on what they actually have to order. So in this respect, so this may be a single meal, or it could be an entire order that included several items that the users already ordered before. So I envision this that users can easily modify what they want to appear on favorites, which can then be automatically ordered with one click. Okay, so a bit more about the favorites section. People want an intuitive way to add and remove meals to and from favorites. So 3 out of 5 participants successfully added meals to favorites, which was, yeah, kind of interesting to see. Yeah, so 4 out of 5 participants tried to remove a favorite meal on the same add heart on the favorite section. So this is the icon that was intended to help users add their meals to favorites. However, many of them were clicking there, which was not designed in a way that they could also remove the meal directly there. So that before they had to go to the favorites and then click in the favorites on the meal and to remove them from favorites. So yeah. 4 out of 5 participants could find a favorites list and remove an item. So it seemed that this the heart icon was pretty evident for many of them to find the favorite list. So, but with this information in mind, I then moved on to this design update. So essentially, from this screen that you saw before, I transitioned into this new one where people have a bigger icon with a heart and the plus, and also where they can press, and this will lead them to the same screen with a heart minus. So this means that they will be able to add and remove from the same screen without needing to go to favorites. All right, so we move on to the chatbot as a feature in the app. So it was quite interesting that people may not need the chatbot, or did not notice it, or need more information on the value of this feature. Actually, I added this feature on the app essentially because while I was doing the user interviews, the target users were saying that when they have to decide what they eat, they normally ask people around what they think the food may contain. If it's in terms of what ingredients, what the calorific value is, or what type of allergens the food may have. So some of them also said that, well, they may ask someone next to them, or they may take a decision based on whatever they ate before, previously in that restaurant, or how much they know about the food, or essentially asking someone at the restaurant, yeah, something about the food. So this is why I came to the idea of, yes, adding a chatbot in the app. However, 5 out of 5 participants did not use the function or did not notice it. So because of that, I For this design sprint, I decided to remove the function. However, I think in the future, in a new iteration of the design of this project, that would be interesting to see if people essentially indeed need a chatbot throughout the user flow to complete their orders. Okay, so regarding edit address, so people want to modify their address under the profile section. So as you can see here, the delivery address was under my account, so people could access my account on the icon you will see later on. So it was throughout the app in every single screen. So then they landed on this page. The problem was that delivery address was a separate element on my account. However, they were clicking here to access it. So 2 out of 5 participants successfully found the button to edit their address, and 4 out of 5 participants tried to modify their address under the profile. So it was a clear indication that this information needs to be under profile. And this is essentially what I did. So I transitioned this screen into this one. I added some more icons, essentially because accessibility, I wanted to make the accessibility more visible, more understandable, and also the language icon to make it easier for users, to make it easier for them to find that function in the app. And then when they click on profile, they land to this screen where they can insert their address or find their addresses. So I added 2 addresses because there were people saying that normally they are ordering from different places. So if they are, for example, although the app is mainly designed for working professionals who are busy and want to order at the end of the day, this app may be used for other contexts, and there is why I included 2 addresses so that people can choose which of the 2 they want to use in the checkout. Okay, so we go then to the 4th part, symbols, which is the 4th and last one. So icons. People want clearer and a more intuitive way to know the meaning of meal icons. So 3 out of 5 participants struggled to understand the meaning of these icons next to meals. It was not very clear for them what these icons here meant. Then 5 out of 5 participants clicked directly on them to learn about them. And 4 out of 5 participants found the meal icons too small. So this was for me an indication that maybe icons was not the right approach to help users understand what the features of this meal is. And also receiving feedback from a user who suggested using labels. And this is how I transitioned into labels, because it's a more global way to understand what a meal may contain. So this is why I removed the icons. And now it's clearly visible for users what this has. Also, as you can see here, which I didn't mention before regarding the meal screen, is that users have here a tab where they can click, they can press on each one of these and new information will appear. So they don't have to scroll horizontal or vertically. They just have to easily just tap on the section they're interested in and then proceed to add to bag or go back. In addition to that, I also added this rebranded footer. As I mentioned before, essentially I changed the home screen into this elements cutlery, and I added a name for each one of the icons to make it more understandable what it means, especially for the checkout, because I thought the word cart would not be the right thing to indicate in a food app. So because cart normally is when you're in the supermarket or something like that, but it's more like a bag where you put the food and it's delivered to you in a bag. This is why I thought of these 2 icons. But this is again something like that may be interesting to see how users react to that. Okay, so I'll move on now to the recommendations for future research. Essentially, I have 3 recommendations. The first one is to add some accessibility research, essentially because none of the users had any disability. However, UX design needs to consider this, needs to be aware of accessibility issues, and therefore it would be important to know how the current design can fulfill needs of certain groups that may have disabilities. Then another aspect is to integrate participants from underrepresented groups, like females, Black, Hispanic, and Asians. And thirdly, to do some analytics about the most common dietary needs of users. In this way, I can customize a bit more the offer that is provided to them in terms of the food types and the food diversity. All right, so finally, the next steps. So I will build mock-ups considering the typography, the color, the iconography, and the visual design principles. Then I will explore some design systems. I will participate in a design critique session, and I will conduct a usability test of a hi-fi prototype and further iterate on the design. So again, as I said, if you're interested in being part of a next usability test, go ahead and fill out the form, include your information, your email address, and then I will reach out to you if you fulfill the criteria of the target users and as soon as the hi-fi prototype is ready. So with that, I conclude my presentation. I appreciate all the interviews and the usability test participants and all of you listeners who attended this presentation. Thanks a lot for participating. Please go ahead and let's connect on LinkedIn. And if you like to provide an endorsement on LinkedIn, I appreciate that very much. And for now, let's move on now to the question and answer section. All right, so I will move on to that section now. So apparently there is no question posed at the moment. Let me see, there were some comments on the chat section. Okay, so Daniel Pixoto is saying, in the others, comparing low fidelity with high fidelity, the user interaction and their perception about the features could be different. So I'm not sure I understood your question, Daniel. Maybe if you would like to elaborate on that.
Hello, guys. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, like first of all, congratulations for your study. Looks really professional and really good. My main question is related with, as far as I know, you were using Balsamic to probably to build these low fidelity prototypes. My question is related with the comparison between low and high fidelity. So do you think if you were like creating straight the high fidelity prototypes and do the study using high fidelity prototypes, do you think the feedback from the users were slightly different compared with low fidelity? Because probably some users they couldn't see the features when you don't have pictures, when you don't have like something like it's close to the final product, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that you are using like placeholders for the buttons, for the image, for the rest of the content, but some users they are more visual. And they don't, the perception it's slightly different, you know.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think if you were going straight to the high fidelity prototype, the feedback from the users were slightly different? So this is my question.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for your question, which is very valuable. I experienced in my study that I had to tell participants, some of them, to be creative, to imagine what they think their seeing means and where could be what they are supposed to find. So this is an issue. This is a lesson that I learned in this study. However, from what I have learned so far in the Google UX Design course, it is recommended to perform usability studies regularly and early, in the sense that you can have a low commitment, in other words, low effort, semi-design, where you don't have to invest much of time, much of resources, and test if the functionality of your app is correct. In that respect, going directly into high fidelity prototype would require a lot of effort and a lot of investment for organization. to design something that may not necessarily project what the user is needing or may have some design issues. So that would require a lot of effort. And as you know, to go from a lo-fi or not even probably designing it, but nevertheless, you have to create the boxes, put pictures, iconography, etc. And if you have to redesign an app in a large portion, then you may have wasted a lot of time. So yeah, in that respect, then I would suggest to maybe not create a lo-fi, but rather a mid-fi prototype. However, it seems not to be very common, that term mid-fi, but yeah, to do something, that is simple, low commitment. However, add some text. My early lo-fi prototype had only lines, which is, it's an industry standard, just to write lines and to put boxes and X and everywhere. But it was really difficult. I perceived that people would not understand what means what and where is what. So yeah, so just I put then some text and tried to make it more understandable what each box means.
Yeah, of course. It's like for the early concept validation, I think
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
totally right to use low fidelity prototypes. Sometimes I use also some prototypes in the whiteboard, if I'm with some users. But yeah, sometimes I found even with some usability studies that I performed that some users they have difficulties to imagine,
Yeah,
like the final result. And so if you but it's valid, like the study. I think now the next step, as you mentioned, is to create and to build the high fidelity prototypes,
yeah,
and probably to compare the data from the first study with the second study,
exactly.
and this will be much better. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So my second question is like, which kind of strategies are you planning to use in this second stage? Are you planning to use like high tracking technology to collect data
Mhm.
from the users? Are you planning to check for heat maps? What are like the main strategies now?
Yeah, well, at the moment, I haven't thought much on the strategy I will use for the next usability test. I know I'm aware of these different applications. They are like high tech applications that can definitely help us complete our tasks. But I must say that most probably I will keep using the same technique I used, create a Google Meet invite and then ask users to show their screen so that I can record and see where they are clicking. And this is essentially, it's because of the low cost. Many of these
Yeah.
software require some pricing, some plan that you need to pay, although there are some tests, but I just kind of want to simplify it. And since it's in a learning stage, I don't think it requires such a big commitment
Yeah.
monetarily.
So you prefer to go ahead with the remote usability test? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks so much.
Sure, thank you. And if there is any other question, please, now would be the moment. Just unmute yourself and go ahead. All right, so maybe while some of you are thinking about possible questions or any possible feedback, again, I just want to highlight the possibility of joining in the next usability test. Just go ahead and fill out the form. I would also appreciate your feedback regarding the quality of the presentation. I would really like to improve that. And it would be really a pleasure to see you again in the next presentation on the results of this app for a hi-fi prototype. And Anja, if you would like to share some words with us.
Yeah, sure. So on behalf of Interaction Design Foundation Zurich, I want to thank everyone for joining the meetup. And thank you so much for Johanni for taking the initiative to present your experience and result towards the conduction of usability test, your thought process, and based on the user behavior, how you changed the hierarchy of the information it reflects by applying different visual encodings and quantifying the UX expect. So it's amazing experience, and I hope other members and non-members will share their work and share knowledge for the UX community like you did. Although I do have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
How did you decided about the feature prioritization? Maybe you can enlighten about that process before conducting the usability study.
Yes, sure. So essentially, I followed the recommendations that were provided by Google on the prioritization. Um, I believe they focused only on urgency because it would be difficult for us as kind of doing a imaginary app to include business elements. I included that myself because I think it's essential to include the business value, like how much may this feature cost and what is the result of this, for example, of a chatbot. It was not used by anybody, and that would represent a significant monetary commitment by a company. So I think in the future, I would definitely kind of do a matrix, decision matrix, to help me do this very, very nicely analytically. In this time, I just focus on the urgency, like which features I think were mentioned by the users in a majority number of the participants. And then that I understood that they were essential for the user to complete their journey with the app. Yeah. So essentially the user flow. And I tried to put all these things together and to reflect the best I could that the new design really shows what an improvement in regards to the pain points that they were showing. But essentially that I have seen some UX designers online who have a similar tool. They have different elements, like accessibility, business value, and then also urgency and many other features. I do remember that in the course from Google UX, they were saying that many of these criteria will depend a lot on the team you're working with. So every company may have its own secrets and its own strategies. This is part of the UX strategy, and also your budget and your time constraint. So I think that we may need to be flexible on what to include.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
By the way,
So,
I have one
yes.
more question. Just to build like user stories, I don't know if you build them, but based on like in the user requirements, did you perform any like market analysis in order to understand like the features of the other tools in the market? Because we have a lot of solutions in terms of chatbots, but different chatbots with different
Yeah.
features. Did you perform any analysis to build like the user stories and of course based in the
Yeah.
user requirements?
Yeah. This is a very important question. And I'm glad to say that, yes, I did that. Because, essentially it's because we need to understand, that when we are designing, it's not just creating an app, something that looks nice and that can, it can solve the user's problem, but also that is distinguishing itself in the market. So I must say that, I came initially to the idea because the Google course includes that aspect that that you do a competitive audit to understand who are your main competitors, and they provide good information how to assess what you have to look at, from the visuals up to the strategic, the pricing, the coloring, the UX writing, so many different elements. And once I conclude this study, I will create a case study, and you may have a look at the process that I followed, which was very analytical. So understanding what they're offering and how my app has a competitive or has a unique value proposition in respect to the competitors. So this is an important step, and I think each of us has to go through that. And after I identified what is different from what is in the market, then I could go systematically, page by page, understanding what information I want to put on each page in terms of a feature or a button, etc. And then also now, when I had to improve the design, I did a quick review of what there is in the market. And there is nice information online that can help you find apps in different industries all over the world, and this is really, really practical. So I selected around 6 or 7 apps, and I looked at how they're designed and how the information is shown, and then I focused on those that interested me the most, and also informed myself on how to kind of distinguish my app from what there is out there, which will be especially important later on when choosing colors and iconography, etc. So yeah, this is definitely an important part.
Yeah, my last question is related with personas. I don't know if you mentioned during your presentation, because I was quite late, But did you build any personas from your target public?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as part of the design thinking process, you need to start with the persona. And yeah, I elaborated them after I conducted the user interviews. And again, I can share with you the link of the personas. If you're particularly interested in that, you can just email me and I can share you the Miro board. But yeah, I conducted some personas, in total 4. And then I focus on 2 main users that most broadly represent the needs of all the users I interviewed. So the actual app represents the needs of a mixture of all these different of all the 4 personas. So this is why I received some feedback from some participants saying that there were features that they actually didn't need, like for example allergens. So as you know, yeah, we need to design this way. There are features that may be used by a small group, but ultimately may help a larger group of people. So in a case is accessibility, right? That, for example, if someone wants to increase the size of the text in the app, it is essentially designed for people who have visual impairments. But yeah, anybody may need to increase the size of the text if it's very late in the evening and you cannot see properly, or if you cannot really understand what there is in the app, you can use a screen reader or something
Or
like that.
even color blinded. Yeah.
Yes,
Color
exactly.
blindness. Yeah,
yes, exactly. So yeah, that's the issue, that we need to design for a bunch of people, a bunch of users, and that may mean that yeah, some users may not use the features that are destined for other users. But I think it is important to include people's needs, and this is why accessibility is very important. Yes. Good. So I think we have covered a very interesting and insightful discussion and 1-hour event. Once again, thank you all for joining me in this presentation. It was really a pleasure interacting with you, listening to your questions and your feedback. Thanks a lot for joining, and I hope we can see each other again in the future. Take care.
Hi, Johanny. I'm
Yes.
just, well, yeah, I'm also a student of Google UX certification. I'm completing the second part, and it was really interesting to see one step ahead. How you did it, and the next step, the low or mid fidelity prototype. So thanks a lot for showing us today also about accessibility, that the very important point that not all courses, they talk about that.
Indeed.
And I was surprised that Google paid attention, and even the first week or second week of this certification program, we already had a bunch of lessons and examples about accessibility, and we even tried to write something on the keyboard, not using mouse or something like this, so that to feel their shoes, what's there. And I would also include in my project too. So thanks a lot. That was for me very useful. And hope to hear from you soon on the next webinar. Thanks for your time and very, very good presentation.
Thank you.
Professional, yeah. Thank you. Maybe one day we could meet in Zurich.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Please email me.
webinar, because we're already tired of this online webinars. Yeah.
All right, all right. So thanks a lot, Ines, and thank you all for joining, and have a nice rest of the week. Great weekend, and let's stay in touch. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.